We are back again. Gotta move that thing a little bit. Okay, we're back, and that was really really interesting to see the reaction of the crowd. But again, when you were singing that, you were that was a top 10 song in the country, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you know, some huge act coming into the United States and coming and singing their hit. You know, that's big. People were going berserk over there.
Yeah, I think they really enjoyed it.
A lot of energy.
You know,
and the interesting thing is that's an English song, and you were singing that in the Azores. So are you going to pursue more English songs, and that should make you more popular in this country as well?
I'd like to. You know, right now I'm trying to establish myself in the Portuguese community, get myself out there, but each album I'm going to put at least one English song, and then from there I'd like to actually pursue into the English market.
I think you should put like 3 or 4 songs that are in English that are next on CD rather than one, because that way you're limited.
Yeah.
If this thing becomes a big hit in the United States somewhere, then there's no follow-up.
Yeah.
So you need to have more than one in English. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right, and you know, I'd like to. You know, right now I'm working on my 2nd album, so we don't have all the songs yet. We're just.
When do you write? What is there something that kind of causes you to write? I know when I write poetry, and I've written many songs, and it's usually something that emotionally disturbing, good or bad or whatever, something that's emotional that gets me wanting to write. Is that something that you do as well, or when do you write?
Well, you know, lately, you know, to tell you the truth, I used to write a lot when I was in high school. You know, my parents were pretty strict, so I would be home and I would just spend a lot of time writing. But now, you know, nowadays I don't have too much time to write, so that's why a lot of, you know, most of my songs are written by Jack Spazio, also because he's a wonderful composer. So I put my trust into him, and I really like his songs. But the stuff that I write, it's just, when I'm inspired, usually it's when I tend to be in a more not bad mood, but just a little bit more melancholy. That's when that inspiration tends to come out, and you know, I definitely have to be by myself.
Do you ever find yourself if you wrote a song and someone else sang it and became a big hit, was that something that you would love to see happen too, or would you rather be doing it most of your own stuff?
No, I actually have a couple of songs that a couple of that I wrote, and a couple of people have recorded it.
Is that as much of a thrill to you?
Yeah, it is. You know, basically, I work with my producer, so whenever I write a song, you know, it goes through him because he's also producing these other artists, and you know, we modify it. You know, he modifies what I write, and we kind of work on it, and then, you know, someone else might record it.
Since he has a stable of people that he's working with, does he combine you folks? Do you have some of the other folks coming on your CD, and maybe you go on their CDs and work together?
As far as singing duets, yeah. Composing, you know, I mean, it's up to the artist what the artist wants. But other artists, like I have in this album, I have 2 songs with duets, which is one with this male. His name is Carlos Galvão. He's from Portugal, and that song is actually the first song that was ever released. It was very popular in New England, and California, Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was in Portuguese?
Yes.
So that, again, there's a very large community here in Stoughton, and also in Fall River, New Bedford, and things like that. So are there pockets around the country where there's a lot of Portuguese folks, and is this really popular music? Do they all own one of these CDs? Yeah,
there's a lot of Portuguese people in the United. You can have a music career in Portuguese and never go to Portugal.
Really?
California, all over California, Bermuda, Canada, especially Toronto and Ontario, Montreal. And then there's other parts like Philadelphia, New York, Virginia.
Really? Have you toured all these places?
Not yet. I've gotten some calls for California, but unfortunately, it's always when I have another show. So hopefully, you know, when the 2nd album comes out, I'll get even more promotion. And
are you doing this full time? Or do you have another job that you're
Well, as well as singing, I teach. I'm a voice teacher.
Oh, do you teach privately, private lessons?
Yes.
So
I do
if
that.
folks want to get a hold of you to teach them, they would call?
Mm-hmm. And I teach in Stoughton.
What number would they call?
The best number is 781-608-4005.
Okay.
If you don't have a pen with you, just go onto my website, michelleromeiro.com, and there's a link that talks about, it just says you want voice lessons, and you link onto that.
So how many, have you had a lot of people in this area that you teach?
I do have quite a few.
Can you teach anybody to sing, or are some people completely tone deaf and there's no way to teach them to sing?
You can teach anybody, but of course, people are going to learn at different levels. I have had a couple of students that they came to me tone deaf, and now that they do have a sense of tonality, but of course it's not. They're not at the level of, say, someone who came in and already had just knew how to, had a nice voice, and then from there,
My daughter's played piano for years.
Yeah.
And I've been to a number of musical recitals in many different places.
Mm-hmm.
And I must say that for the most part, the people who sing, and they've been taking it for years, are not that good for the most part. So I'm wondering if I guess you have to have some kind of talent to begin with, and then you hone it as a teacher. Rather than, it's like saying someone's going to be a math whiz if you teach them math. It doesn't necessarily, they don't have the brain sometimes to understand math concepts. So, but anybody that would be interested in trying to improve their voice could come see you, and you try to help them out.
Yeah, I mean, that always gets, pondered upon. Do you have to be born with a talent in order to, have it, or can you just learn it? That goes with anything, music, athletics, anything. So, but you can improve, but it doesn't mean that you're all of a sudden going to be a master right away at it,